This teaching is called The Work, and it is about the inner psychological meaning of Christ's teaching. It is a system of ideas and psychological practices derived from the fourth way system that originated with George Ivanovich Gurdjieff, interpreted by Peter Uspensky, and taught by Maurice Nicole. Gurdjieff was an esoteric teacher living and teaching in Russia at the beginning of the 20th century. He and a small group of students walked out of Russia to avoid the war and eventually wound up in France, where Gurdjieff founded another school which he called the Institute for the Harmonious Development of Man. Maurice Nicole was a highly regarded Scottish psychologist who was a student of both Gurdjieff and Uspensky and studied with each of them individually. After years as a student, in 1931 he was asked by Uspensky to teach the fourth way in London, where he lived. This he did until his death in 1953. It is the psychological work that is the focus of this book because that is the transformative aspect of the whole teaching and therefore the most valuable. It can be used by anyone with a sincere desire for self-change, but must not be mistaken for a magic formula for achieving power or mystical properties. As a matter of fact, undertaking this path for some personal worldly gain, such as improving your golf game or losing weight or attracting someone's attention, will be a waste of time and perhaps even dangerous. You can't be sincerely involved in a teaching about self-transcendence for self-interested reasons. Your aim would be compromised and impure, and aim is very important in the work. My aim in writing this book is to condense, organize, and explain the brilliant writings of Maurice Nicole in the psychological commentaries on the teachings of Gurdjieff and Uspensky. The work is a perennial esoteric teaching about the possible evolution of an individual from a being driven by external life into a conscious individual guided by the developed spiritual will. While the 5-volume commentaries are vastly more informative, they are not organized in any structured approach to the ideas of this teaching, and the language from the beginning of the last century makes it slightly awkward to the current Western mind. However, Nicole has put into these papers to his students the real aim and practices of the work of the fourth way, making the ideas practical and true to their intended purpose. Gurdjieff, Uspensky, and Nicole all called the work esoteric Christianity, referring to the inner meaning of Christ's teaching. It's not a hidden or secret path, but one of the inner truth Christ spoke of, leading to personal development and realization of the essential self. In the work, each person must apply the practices to themselves conscientiously after learning what to do, why, and how to do it. The aim of it is to increase your consciousness and reach a subsequent new level of understanding in order to attain a degree of enlightenment for the purpose of spiritual rebirth. If applied rightly, it will lead to authentic self-realization and an inner purity, which are both necessary conditions for the possibility of enlightenment in any higher degrees of development. It requires long-term conscious efforts that are of a psychological nature and at times are intensely difficult and painful to the ego, and at the same time beautifully liberating. That is why it is called work. Fourth way teaching doesn't talk directly about God for several reasons. We speak of God very casually in our present age, and we attribute all manner of earthly events to him, from the outcome of sporting matches to personal and natural disasters. These steps begin with awakening, then dying, then rebirth. In the process must follow this pattern because you must first of all awaken to what you are really like before you can know what parts of your psychological makeup must die in order to reach rebirth. Awakening begins with new knowledge and the intentional employment of that knowledge. Then there must be death to what we have awakened to within us if it obstructs the path to the spiritual rebirth that is our rightful destiny. Without awakening, there can't be any dying to the aspects of the self in the right way, and therefore rebirth is impossible. This is one aspect of the teaching I have tried to address in structuring this book by putting the ideas of awakening first, the process of dying to the false self in the right way second, with the aim of rebirth into a developed spiritual being at last. Otherwise, you have no way to move up above the self you are now to a new form of yourself, already within you, awaiting realization. Those who identify themselves as Christians will find deeper meaning and understanding and a strengthening of their faith, including a verifiably real way to obey Christ's teaching, because you love Him. Nothing could be more valuable. It is considered the highest form of knowledge because it is the starting point of any possible change. Also, understand clearly that self-change means that you must necessarily become a different kind of person. You can't change and stay the same. The work isn't something you can add on to yourself as you are, like acquiring a new wardrobe or learning a new language. It is meant to change you into the authentic person you were born to become, led by your developed spirit. So be sure that changing the kind of person you are is a pervasive part of your aim, and be prepared to work at it sincerely and diligently. If you do, you will discover that this is the most beautiful path to enlightenment that exists.